I realized very early on that everyone needed to create content, get their voice out into the world. No better way to create thought leadership and sales and marketing. And for two, I also realized that content takes time. It's not super easy. Fundamentals of a good video. It all comes down to just the first couple seconds. That's why before the call, we have all the hooks nailed down. That is the most important part. It doesn't matter who you are, your gender, your location, your background. You can find an amazing company and build it yourself or work for someone else. And so I think the opportunities today, it's just incredible.
Lindsay, hello.
Thanks for having me, Liam, on your podcast. It's great to be here.
Of course, I'm excited. And to get started, I want to jump into something that I think has caught my attention and has caught everyone's attention. One call to get 1 month of video. Tell me a bit more about how you came to that as your tagline and how effective that's been for you.
Yeah, I've been creating content for myself and top executives and entrepreneurs around the world now for years. I started it back in my college dorm room, and it was honestly just a hack to be able to talk to the top minds around the world to, first of all, try and get a job, and then realize there was a lot of cool opportunities in entrepreneurship. And so it's been this business that I've had for a long time now, helping top minds create content. And I realized very early on that everyone needed to create content, get their voice out into the world. No better way to create thought leadership and sales and marketing. And for two, I also realized that content takes time. It's not super easy. I know you and me have grown up in the social media world. We understand it like the back of our hand, but not everyone has. And entrepreneurs are busy. They don't have time to just be on camera trying to figure out how to do video content. And so I found this nice hole in the market where I'm okay, I can help people that have amazing stories, amazing backgrounds, or just solving really cool problems and help them create content in a really easy way. One call, create a whole month of video content. So that's where I've kind of started my agency and my entrepreneurial experience, and it's kind of just grown from there. So yeah, that's how that works.
And were you always confident on camera, or is that something that kind of came with time? Because I see you all over my feed. There's you, Audrey Chia, Jeremy, Jake, and it's just the same people cycling through. So I'm just wondering, is this, you said you started it back in college, was there any sort of hesitation, or is that just something you've kind of honed in over time as a muscle?
Yeah, I've always been outgoing on camera. I mean, I started my podcast back from my college dorm room. So I think at this point I've had a lot of experience being able to be on camera. But then again, we've grown up on social media. It's just something that we've done since middle school, taking videos, talking on videos, posting on Instagram to your 24 middle school followers. It's just something that is exciting as a young person. As we come into the world of careers and stuff, we're just used to social media. And so we'll talk probably a lot about more LinkedIn, the rise of LinkedIn, video content on LinkedIn. But I think it's just a natural tendency to have more video content, more content creation, thanks to AI, but also just as young folk come into the world. It's how we communicate social media. It's how we get our news on social media. It's how we connect with fellow friends and family on social media. And so having this content creation and social media be an integral part of businesses more and more, especially LinkedIn, I think it's just a natural thing. Sure, I've started mine and my podcast back in college, my agency back in college, but I think this content creation and social media will be a thing that just becomes more and more in the professional world in the years to come.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're really entering the era of founder-led brands. We're seeing that across pretty much every vector. There can be a company, Ford, that has, 12 million followers on LinkedIn, but they'll get the same engagement as someone with 30,000. It really is this age of founder-led brands. Something you mentioned at the start is that you work with a lot of kind of C-suite executives, maybe people that are kind of in older generations, and you're creating content for them, or you're walking them through this process. I was wondering if you kind of dive into the clientele that you see the most and maybe some misconceptions they have about it, some reservations. What does that process look like, that conversation?
Yeah. The people I work with are leading like huge companies. Like these people are built the companies, and basically what they are, it's like the CEO, CTO, and they have their CMO in their ear being like, okay, we've built this crazy thing, but Mark Zuckerberg's on camera doing these cool videos. Like Satya just released a video a couple days ago talking about the future of Copilot and things like that. Like they're seeing these videos from the top and being like, okay, it's time. Like you are head of this amazing AI company. Like we have to get you on video too. And so there's just been this big push from the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world. And so the people right below that kind of Mark Zuckerberg level are like, okay, we need to do that too. Like everyone's on social media. If you, the CEO, aren't talking on social media, like what are we even doing? And I'm all for it. Like I think these people are the ones like I want to consume more content from. Like they have like the most brilliant minds and they're doing these crazy things. And so it's like I'm all for, like you said, founder-led content is huge nowadays. But these people are like the ones that are doing the interesting things. Like might as well have them like sharing content, and there's so many benefits of sharing content, especially on LinkedIn. But I think as the consumer of this content, it's amazing. So
Talk to me about that, because CEOs are obviously very busy people. I know it from doing operations for our company, like how stacked my schedule is and like how little time I've got to actually record content and think about all this. So I was wondering if you could jump into the how. For example, I'm a CEO and I come to you for your services and I'm like, okay, I've got no time at hand. I've got 1 hour, a 1 hour window. How are you taking that 1 hour and actually producing content for me and driving leads and driving business?
yeah, it's super simple. We usually do some sort of pre-call to basically be like, okay, who's your client? Like who is the target customer? Like what is their pain points? Like how do you solve it? And kind of nail down their roadmap, kind of what's to come, and also what's just their own like thought leadership and kind of vision for the company. Afterwards, we hop off the call and I create all of the strategy for the call. So the questions, the hooks, like some notes that we can kind of direction go through on the call, send it all over. Sometimes founders love to like really read through it and like add their own notes. Some people just don't even care and they just want to hop on the call. Then we hop on the call and basically some of these people haven't done as much video, and so usually the first little bit is just, okay, can we just move the camera a little bit this way? Like, can we get a little bit better lighting, and kind of just like coaching through just the best visual, because visual, I always like to say like you don't need a professional setup. Like the videos of like I love the All In podcast so much. You look at those setups, they are just like not visually amazing, but it doesn't really matter as long as you can kind of like see the face. And so it doesn't have to be perfect, but just like making the best out of the setup they have. And then we go through all the topics, the hooks. We all know how important it is to like have the beginning be just like super interesting and captivating. And so we kind of like have all the topics and the strategy beforehand, but then on the call, like coaching through like best practices of video, because I've been creating video very frequently for years now. So kind of knowing the best practices there. And then afterwards we hop off, me and my team edit all the videos and then return them back, and they're ready for, we focus a lot on LinkedIn, but they're ready for any other platform. TikTok, if it's still going to be around, but ready for any social media platform to post on.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak personally to having shoddy setups. I think 3 podcasts I recorded this week was on top of a microwave that I found in my Airbnb. I was like trying to get to the right level of recording and I couldn't find like a standing desk to put my laptop on. I bought one now, but the first 3 podcasts of this week were recorded on a microwave. And I had big guests. I had Eric Jorgensen on, who wrote The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I just felt like such a fraud because I was recording on a fucking microwave out of my Airbnb. But as you said, it doesn't really matter as much as long as you focus on the fundamentals. Dive into those fundamentals for me. What are they?
Yeah. Fundamentals of a good video. It all comes down to, I mean, I would say the most important part, as I mentioned, is just the first couple of seconds. That's why like before the call, we have like all the hooks like nailed down. Like that is like the most important part. Like for these founders and for these executives in the past, videos for social media, like and all B2B content was like, an hour-long webinar where they spend the first like 10 minutes like being like, okay, my name is John Smith and this is my co-founder Michael, and here are our backgrounds, and I'm going to introduce today the future of AI. Like, no one cares, but they don't consume content like we have since we were young, and so they don't understand these fundamentals as well. And so I will say though that these people that I work with are extremely intelligent. Like, they learn so fast, and so it's just kind of like getting the best practices down, the foundation down, which is basically fundamentals of just like the beginning, like the short video stuff, and then from there it's kind of keeping it, the topics and the explaining, concise. Concise is like a really big one, to kind of keep it all in like one short video, which is like around a minute versus like super long. So that's really important. And then, yeah, I think beginning, concise, and also just really speaking to your ideal customer. Like having the whole video really talking to the problems that they have and how you are solving them with your company or your product or your services, kind of having that hook, concise, and then speaking to the right person really just goes a long way to making a really good video.
Where does AI fit into the conversation for you? You mentioned hooks. I know a lot of people like use ChatGPT to generate content for this. Like, how do you utilize AI to help you scale and to help you grow?
Yeah. I've AI, I have to say, is like my best friend. I absolutely love AI. I've used it because I've created this company like pre-AI days, and it's really helped me to be able to become like just more like, because before these content calls, I would be doing hours and hours and hours of research and stuff, which all that work and research has now created a lot faster. I've like had to learn along the way, and so I don't have to do as many hours of research. But part of that's like thanks to AI. It's so much easier to like go out there and say like, give me a million reports on what's happening today in like security and how the future of like security is going. And so all, because I've been creating content for different industries of things that like my background is in. And my background's not even in marketing, it's in finance. And so it's just like being able to have AI like help me become someone that's like a thought leader in many different industries, because I go out and help people from many industries create content. Like, that's been a big help. I think just in the whole landscape of AI and marketing, I think it's just helped everyone to create more, to create faster, to create better. I think it's going to continue to do that for all marketers alike, whether that's my marketing agency, every other marketing agency, and every other marketer. So I think AI, lots of thoughts on the future of AI and marketing, but I think it has a unique spot to help us all become better marketers, whether it's my agency or just a solo person wanting to kind of create their own personal brand on LinkedIn.
I really want to dive into your future predictions for this space a little later on in the podcast, but something I'm really curious about is, obviously you are a personal brand, right? So when people book a call with your company, Cred Marketing, I assume that they want to be on a call with you and speak to you because you're who they've seen on their feed for the past 6 months. How do you think about the idea of scaling? Like, are you physically going to be a bottleneck because you only have so much of the time in a day to hop on calls? Are you going to expand that network that you have more people that work with you? Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah. I actually have an innovative take right here. I've had my marketing agency and I've helped so many founders create content for years now. But I do, like, I'm not stupid. Like, I have the writing on the wall that like these tools are getting better and better. And I saw video coming to LinkedIn. I started posting it a year and a half ago. People were like, what are you doing? Like, video content is not for LinkedIn. Like, stop it. Like, go post that somewhere else. And I was like, no, like, you don't understand. Like, this is like, I don't care if it doesn't perform as well, like with the algorithm, but like, this is what built my business and the trust of my business is like videos. Like, I was fresh out of college. Like, why would anyone care who I was? Like, no one did. Like, why would they? But the video content was the one, like, just the absolute best trust builder ever. And I was able to build this like amazing company over the past year and a half. Like, bought a house, was able to like hire on my sister, like really scaled this agency, which has just been amazing. But now where I'm at right now, I'm like, okay, video on LinkedIn was a really interesting, unique vision like a year and a half ago. But now we're all like seeing it. We're like, okay, writing on the wall, still it's like the opportunity hasn't even hit the full like cusp. Like the algorithm is still like coming to be. There's like so many cool things happening with it. So it's like still hasn't even come to fruition yet on like how big it's going to be. Like I heard someone today say that video on LinkedIn is like YouTube back in 2010. Like the opportunity is huge. But at this point, I'm already like looking ahead into like what else do I want to build next beyond just like the marketing agency, because yes, there is like bottlenecks and scaling and stuff. And so we can talk more about it, but already creating like a new technology platform on creating the future of B2B partnerships between awesome employee and CEO creators and the future of B2B companies. And so in the process of building out this new tech platform, which would solve the bottleneck of me being the face of Cred Marketing, my marketing agency. So yeah.
Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. This is all kind of like new coming out, so this will be some of the more like cutting edge stuff. But I've like been able to build my own brand on LinkedIn now, and over the past like 6 months on LinkedIn, saw the amount of partnerships between these B2B brands and these B2B thought leaders, creators absolutely skyrocket. And I'm like, this is new. Like this is like 2010 YouTube when people were like doing the first little like makeup brand partnerships. Like this is like my Hoola bronzer. Like that was like forever ago. And this is like just starting to emerge. And I think we're like very much step one right now with these B2B brands partnering with these more like influencer type roles, like me, you, like creators on LinkedIn. But I'm really, really excited for, I feel like we're at the tip of the iceberg. What we're building is basically a way for these B2B brands to partner with these more like employee creators, CMOs, head of marketing, head of sale, like these people that have real influence that these brand partnerships simply have not touched yet. And so going out there and grabbing not just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to B2B influencers, but like the whole freaking thing. And so we're building that right now. It will be live not too long, a month or a couple months from now. So I'm really excited to kind of start to tread ahead on like the future of B2B influencer marketing. There's lots of ways that AI will play into that, but I think that's just going to be huge in the future of like personal brand creation, creation in B2B, and the new form of what I'm coining, like the employee creator marketing. I think that's going to be absolutely huge this year in 2025.
Employee creator marketing. All right, I've noted that down. I'll get the editors to clip that. Make sure we've got that for years to come. If that becomes a term, you're being officially credited with it.
Thanks.
With this, so the timing of this podcast and when it comes out is probably going to be around the time you release that. And we talked a bit before about like one of the things you enjoy most about being a podcast is just kind of like throwing ideas back and forth and brainstorming a little. So I was wondering, obviously you've done a bunch of research into why you do this and what you want to do with it. What kind of competitors are out there just now, and how will your company or your product be different from what's currently offered?
Yeah. So the company's called Sync, SYNNC, and I think like the biggest competitors right now are like influencer marketing is no new thing. Like we've seen influencer marketing now for years across platform, and there are a lot of companies that are created really great stacks for Instagram and YouTube. But when it comes to the creators and this creator scene for B2B, like the more professional world, it's completely different. Like the LinkedIn and the employee creator and the technology like needed to kind of serve them is so different than the creators and Instagram and YouTube. It's a whole different ball game. And so there is like a really unique opportunity right now to create technology that like services these two parties that are like the whole scene of marketing right here is exploding as is. It's like back when we were like transferring from like Vine to TikTok and stuff, and there was just like this new algorithms and a new type of platform. Like we're seeing these new algorithms and new type of platforms on LinkedIn. And so when it comes to like you're asking like biggest competition, I think it's like just like more of these like traditional, not just companies, but like old style of thinking of like the past of these like creative partnerships, and it's just a whole nother world of products and companies. Like when it comes to B2B influencer marketing, I think like the biggest difference between like B2C and B2B is just like the level of trust as well. When it comes to like trust in order to buy like a $5 beverage or a $20 makeup item, the level of trust you need is like not very much. When it comes to like buying and purchasing like enterprise level software, you need like a whole lot more trust. Like you need like 10 calls with sales, you need like a bunch of touch points on social media. And the best way for marketing to build trust is to partner with like thought leaders and stuff. And so that's where B2B influencer marketing fits in really, really well here. So I think when you come down to biggest competitors, it's just like the old, more like B2C level platforms that have been around now for longer.
You touched on it a little bit there, but I was wondering if we could break down that concept of trust. How have you built trust on your own brand? And like, if we're to get into the psychological aspects of it as well, you seem like a very analytical person. I imagine you've thought about this a lot. Break down trust for me in the digital age that we're in.
Yeah. Trust is like everything in a digital age. It's like, it's, I think you just said it beautifully. It goes back to like human psychology. Like, if someone said like back 1,000 years ago to buy like this wine versus this wine because your neighbor said it, that's what you'll do. But now we don't really talk to our neighbors as much, at least here in America. It's just all about like getting those like word of mouth and those recommendations from the people that we do talk to. So it could be family members, could be friends, but we spend a whole lot of time on social media nowadays. And maybe a few of us try to limit our time, but your buyer sure is spending time on social media. And that trust really comes from the familiarity of the person that they're kind of interacting with, like seeing their content on social media. And so I think when it comes to like the biggest trick with like having successful sales and marketing, it really comes down to like building that trust. And the best way to do it is through social media. And I think the more and more you show up on the timelines and the feeds of your ideal customer, like the trust compounds and compounds and compounds. There's that whole saying, before someone buys from you, they have to have like 7, 8, 9, 10 touch points. And that's the whole idea of like that trust built up after 7, 8, 9, 10 touch points. And so when it comes to trust, I think there's also a correlation with price of whatever you're selling. If it's like a huge enterprise SaaS software, like you need way more trust in order to like trust. And there's also a lot more people to convince within the buyer circle. But I think if you want to continue to be successful in sales and marketing, it's all about building that trust. And I think we're going to see the rise of a lot more people in marketing and sales starting to create content, because it just gives that like crazy edge that you're not just trying to build that trust real fast on that sales call. Like you have this like 2 seconds on sales call to like build that trust and like say the right things and like that human psychology, whereas this content can do the trust building for you. Like that's where, like with my company and stuff and the agency I've built in the past, like by the time I get onto a sales call, it's not even a sales call. It's just more like explaining exactly how it works and like next steps, because they're like, oh, I already know you. I've been watching your videos now for months. Like I already like understand your vibe, exactly kind of what it is, but let's just kind of figure out what's next. And so I think trust really directly correlates with contact points on social media, just kind of like a numbers game. And I think we'll see more and more of that creation with the B2B LinkedIn this year for sure.
As you said, it's a numbers game, and you're obviously playing a long-term game. You said it was around a year and a half ago you started putting out content on LinkedIn. You've been consistent with it now, and obviously you're a person that plans a lot into the future with this new business, with where things are going, analyzing trends. Where do you kind of see your entire ecosystem of your personal brand, business, this new business? Where do you see that in like 5, 10 years time? What's the North Star?
Yeah. North Star is, I think the brand is something that the social media, especially when you're creating content on an early opportunity on social media, is often like pretty hyperbolic. And so I'm really excited for like to continue like creating content. Like I love I've done this since college, like when it comes to content creation, my podcasting and stuff. I love doing research, being super curious, going out and figure out what's next, creating videos about it or creating podcasts about it and like sharing it with the world. So I know like that's something that like I just like love as a person. And so I'm excited to like continue to do that on LinkedIn. And the more and more you do that, the more people will see it, the more people kind of get shared. And then you just grow as a personal brand. So excited to continue to grow my personal brand, which the personal brand obviously like helps and services like the future of the company. And so when it comes to Sync, the B2B influencer marketing platform, like so excited to grow this. It's like at the same time as I'm growing my personal brand as like a B2B thought leader, this is in the same wave of like growing like the ability for these like top B2B brands to partner with these creators, these B2B creators all over the world. And so I think it's all in a very like similar path, all with the very one fundamental thought of B2B is just getting started when it comes to like building these brands and this content creation. I'm all in on it. We like can see like past successful use cases with like B2C and these like faster like solo creators and like where that's all going. And so it's only logical to say, okay, we're seeing the same inklings of like day 1 to like day 10 of B2C. Like can't wait to like kind of see where this goes there. So definitely the right place to be like kind of building and growing and building any type of company. There's just so many things in the market like need to be built around this, but kind of excited to be a part of it and steward the next 5 years forward.
Hell yeah. I assume you get a ton of inbound. Do you ever do any outbound for your marketing agency just now?
Yeah, most of it has been built by inbound over the years, which is so exciting. I think a lot of it's inbound. I think another key metric I always try to like check in on is profile views. That one's like, I think of that one as like half inbound, half outbound, because the inbound is like they're coming into your profile. They already like given you the knowledge, like they've seen your content and like they've seen you floating around somewhere and they wanted to know more. And so I find that one's kind of like a midway between like inbound and outbound, which definitely capitalize on that. And then from there, I always have like I do outbound for like specific clients and I've just like our use cases and together have worked so well. So sometimes I'll take a similar profile of person and go out and do outbound with that type of person. And so I've just like had such great successful use cases with companies that are like forward looking, like tech focused, like pretty large and wanting to like expand the thought leaders of like their own CEOs and C-suite executives. And so being able to go do outbound with like these like targeted companies, because I know it works with like very similar companies to like what they have. And so I do a mix. I would say majority inbound. I always capitalize on that. I guess that inbound, outbound profile views on LinkedIn that LinkedIn gives us those, which is thank you LinkedIn. Those are the best. And then sprinkling in some outbound with companies that I know would benefit from video content on LinkedIn.
Interesting. As you're continuing to grow, new business is coming up, your kind of agency is continuing to scale. Imagine at some point, if you're not already doing it, you might have to hire a new person. And I'm wondering, say for example, you had 3 months to train someone that was fresh out of college to be the best possible employee, to give the best possible chance to help you grow your business to the maximum possible scale. What kind of resources would you give them? What skills would you ask them to develop? What traits would you be looking for? What YouTube, like podcasts, like where would you point them? What direction would you point them in?
Yeah. A couple different thoughts. My initial thought is I actually like now my sister is working for my companies with me, but it's kind of unfair because she's literally like my twin, like she's the same as me. So that's something I'm sure every founder wishes that they can duplicate
Clone
themselves.
themselves.
Everyone wants to duplicate themselves. Like if only I could have another me, then I would be even more successful. Sorry, I don't want to brag, but I have another me, so that's exciting. I have like my literal twin. She has the same exact mind as me. So that's unfair that's not answering the question, but that's just been absolutely huge. And like to be able to scale, she's just so sharp, figures out things faster than I do. So having her in my corner has been amazing. And then I also have other team members and stuff. But if I were to hire someone, like what would I look for? And like, what would I like, how would I help them in the right direction? And the answer is just so simply, like, if they are not already, but or will be willing to just like absolutely go all in with making AI like kind of their buddy along the way, like that is the most necessary thing for me to hire anyone. And I know every other founder and executive right now, like that, like everyone, it's like hard to find jobs. There's jobs out there, but the jobs that are out there, it's like you better show that you are a superstar with using AI. Like these tools aren't that hard. Like Claude is amazing. Like Gemini is better than ever. ChatGPT is better than ever. Like having these as kind of like your thought partner throughout everything is like just the absolute must right now. I think for anyone like coming out of college, I think being able to know these tools so well and then demonstrate how you use them with everything, like being able to like have meetings, you take the recording and you like expand upon all the thoughts like 100x and then you follow up within 20 minutes later, like that is just like absolutely blowing away. And you can just like, instead of like a person that's like entry level having to go get help from like a superior, you can literally just get so much more help so much faster like using AI. And so I think anyone that's wanting to like go farther ahead in their career or wanting to like level up in themselves, like making AI like their buddy to doing everything is just the ultimate hack right now. And I think for you and me, we're like in it every single day. We like watch every single new item that comes out, every single new update to ChatGPT, but there's not everyone that follows it as closely as us. And so I think the folks that can continue to like have it in their back pocket and use it all the time will find a way to kind of rise in this world as there is less CEOs and executives looking to hire entry-level positions, but there is opportunity and they are looking to hire if those entry-level people are acting as entry-level, and no one has to be entry-level anymore with these AI tools, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you're bang on. I don't think there's any room for mediocrity anymore. There's just no space for it, and we live in a meritocracy. So the people that can do it more and are more efficient and have some self-control, persistence, patience, and are self-directed are they've got the biggest chance to succeed than we've ever had in our entire lifetime, our entire existence as humans, because we've got all this technology at our fingertips. And it's super exciting. I want to find out more about your predictions. You guessed LinkedIn content was going to be a big thing a year and a half ago. Where is the AI space? Where is the personal branding space going to be in a year and a half from now?
Yeah. I think that when you want to look at where a social media platform is going in the next 6 to 12 months, simply look at the features that they've been instilling the past couple months. So that first one has just been the video content algorithm. And more specifically, I don't know if you like how much time you spend on the desktop versus the mobile app, but every week there is an edit to the way that they are showing the video content on the LinkedIn feed. And so the quickness of optimization and kind of moving it this way versus like if you land on it, it's full screen versus this for now, it's changing like crazy. And so I know that they're putting developer hours, they're putting product vision hours like behind the stuff. And once it's live on our app, that's after like a couple months of meetings and emails and work that till they actually push it out. And so you can just kind of imagine like LinkedIn is huge, it's like part of Microsoft. And so the things that are on the roadmap to come have already been thought about and figured out for the past handful of months. And so I think that this year it's going to be a huge push towards perfecting the video experience on LinkedIn, because we've already like seen they're like working on that right now. So what I mean by that is when TikTok came out, they absolutely transformed content on all of social media. In the past, it used to be these algorithms that you told the algorithms that I like AI, I like travel, and I like to learn about entrepreneurship. And I like to learn from Michael and John and Susie. And so they would show you Michael, John, and Susie, and they would show you the videos that they post about entrepreneurship. But now when TikTok came out, they were like, okay, I don't really care who you follow. Like, I honestly really don't care at all. But you actually tell me exactly the content you want. Like, you spend 4 seconds on the entrepreneur video versus 1 second on the dog video. So we're going to show you more entrepreneurship videos. And this is your background. But they have like this crazy, crazy knowledge of like you as a consumer of content. And LinkedIn and Microsoft has this. Like, they know how long we spend on what content from what people. They even know our roles. They know that we're like CEO. They know that we're in marketing. They know that we're in AI. So it's like, to have them start to create an algorithm that like serves us up marketing AI content and business content in the algorithm is like so possible. Like, they have all the information. It's like not outside of like the realm of possibility. And so I'm saying that by the end of this year, we're actually going to have like a TikTok algorithm that's like actually interesting. Right now, it's like so beta. It's like so all over the place. But I think an actual one that you actually like, wow, I'm like learning a ton of stuff on. I think this is only going to be expedited now if TikTok gets closed down. Like, these really amazing content creators, like video content creators, are going to start to come on here as well. And so even more amazing content that will help out the algorithms as well. So I definitely see that coming when it comes to like these 12 months of marketing. From there, the question was, what do I think is coming for like marketing predictions? Yeah. I think that the rise of video is going to be huge. And then I think you can also, I mentioned earlier too, but just like this whole like brand partnership thing is going to be huge. Like, right now we've seen like these brand partnerships in the form of like videos and like carousels and stuff on LinkedIn. But I think it's so we can see like a similar trajectory as in like B2C. Like, forever ago, like they started like they just did like the get ready with me, here's like the little like makeup thing. But then they started like these brands were like, okay, we got to figure out some things that are like a little bit more innovative. Like, this is just like getting a little bit like, it's not bad, but let's try to think of some new things. And so they started sending like huge houses of influencers to Coachella, and like that was super interesting, and people did that. And they have these brand trips to Fiji and Mykonos and like all these things that were just like a little bit different, a little bit more interesting. And I think this year will be that for B2B. And I think we're already seeing these brands being like, like, how can I get a little more interesting in these campaigns? Like, we saw the amazing like Notion campaign a couple weeks ago where they like redid all everyone's little faces and stuff on LinkedIn. And so I think soon we're going to see these brands being like, okay, let's do something more interesting. So what I predict here is we're going to have, meetups of thought leaders at conferences, where they do cool dinners and cool experiences, or they have everyone come together around this experience here and there. So I think this is going to be a year where the partnerships are going to become more and more interesting. And I also think that a lot of these partnerships are going to be not just on the traditional LinkedIn influencer that we see today, but they're going to be around the CMO at head of AI company, or the head of sales at this company, or this person at this company. Like, we're already starting to see that a little bit of these companies, and even companies that I'm talking to right now are with Sync and like talking about these B2B brand partnerships. They're like, we want to focus on people that have this like real cred, and this cred when it comes to B2B partnerships is not just like number of followers. It's like literally your role at X company. That is so much cred when it comes to these B2B partnerships. And so I see a lot of these brand partnerships going to more interesting things with more like interesting people, interesting jobs that they have. And so video content, interesting partnerships, AI making all of this just like absolutely turbocharged. I have like an interesting take, which I would love to hear your thought on the future of like AI and marketing, how AI is making marketing just easier to execute, more things to do, better, like more content, like everything, the whole gamut. But because AI and how these LLMs are trained today, it's trained on trillions of like past examples of successful marketing. But marketing that is often successful tomorrow is the marketing that hasn't been done yet. And so I think AI is going to have a really interesting point in the future. I think AI is going to have a very interesting point in the future of marketing, whereas it's not going to like create new marketing campaigns for us, but we create the new marketing campaigns as people, as creative marketers, and then AI makes the execution like 100 times faster than in the past. And so the future of a successful marketer is someone that's still creative, still thinking outside the box, but using AI to execute 100 times faster because AI isn't trained on what hasn't been done yet. So that's like my take on how AI is affecting marketing. I honestly would love to hear your thoughts because you're in the mix deeply with AI marketing. But
Yeah, I think AI gives you the ability to execute your voice at scale. And I think there's like two components to that. Like one, people are saying that AI is not able, or in the past, people said that AI is not able to think for itself, right? And we just had those developments around a month ago where it passed the ARC AGI frameworks, where its ability to absolutely execute original thinking without any training data. Like it passed what we thought AGI was, so it can think for itself. But then the opposite side of things, like if you follow like the Greg Eisenbergs and like other people who are huge in the space, a lot of people are talking about how 2025 is essentially this year of tastemakers, which is exactly what you're talking about. Is that because AI is trained on all this past data, it's still not really able to predict what the future is, and perhaps that's our unique value as humans. Is that it doesn't really make sense that why things are popular. We just kind of try something, decide something, and then it catches on. There's not really any real logic behind it. So I don't think AI is ever going to be able to take over that. I think our ability as tastemakers and to think originally, I think that will stay innately human. And I think the big thing and a big component that we need to keep in mind with that is that we like these new trends because humans are behind it, because humans are doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's not because it's a good idea, it's because other people do it. It's like planking wasn't a good idea back in the day, but people did it because other people were doing it, and that's a critical component. So I don't think anyone can say for sure why things catch on, but I think there's a human element to it, and that's important. And we see that with everything. Like I have conversations with CEOs, founders, heads of AI companies every single day, and they're all kind of saying the same thing. Like everyone's very excited about AI to automate all these laborious tasks that no one wants to do. But it's all in the pursuit that we have more talk time as human beings. If you're in sales, it's so that you have more talk time as a salesperson. If you're doing content, it's so you spend more time in front of the camera, and then after that, AI does your job, and that's all from there. So I think you're right. I think things are just going to get weirder. They're going to get more interesting, and naturally, as humans, we crave human connection. So we're going to try to optimize for that more and more. And I think we've swung too much the other way. Like this is to take things more broadly again, but people using social media, if you're on YouTube all day, you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok, you're getting social gratification to some point, right? Which means if you're sitting on your phone scrolling Instagram, you think your brain thinks that this is real and it's getting social gratification. So you won't go outside and talk to people, and you won't go to a restaurant and meet new people, and you won't go to a cafe and strike up natural conversation. You spend more time by yourself. And I think we've swung too much that way, and I think it's going to swing back the other way where we really start to prioritize like in-person meetings. I've got a friend, Lewis Shulman, he does coffee and bagels with founders, and I think he's in Arizona at the moment. So I think we're going to move towards that direction where we move more towards community, more towards in-person like reactions. And if you just have a camera recording for like that interaction, that can then be used by AI on the back end to generate content. So I'm a true believer
yeah,
that like us as humans, like that's what we want to optimize for social connection. I don't know if you've ever read the book or seen the movie Into the Wild, but about Chris McCandless, he basically, I'm taking things in a bit of an even wider perspective here. But Chris McCandless, guy graduates college, is kind of like disillusioned with life. So he donates all of his life savings. It's like 50,000 USD. And he goes on this trip for 6 months to a year, where he's just like trying to understand what happiness is and adventure and stuff like that. And as he's kind of eats some dodgy berries out in like the wilderness of Canada, and kind of as he's dying, he writes that happiness is only real when shared. And I think that's true, right? And I think we've lost a bit of that. And I think we're eventually just turning this corner where like what the fuck were we doing staring at phones for the past 3 years? Like, let's move towards talking to other humans again. I hope
Yeah,
that
yeah, no,
answers your
I
question.
totally, no, I totally agree. I think there's going to be kind of a divide though. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of people that say, okay, I'm over the phones. I want to use AI to do more output, and I want to use AI to become a better marketer and become a better, less time work so I can focus on my friends. But I also think there's like kind of the dark side where it's like these AI algorithms are becoming so good that it's like pulling people in, and people aren't working as much anymore because like it's harder to get a job because you need AI to need to like capitalize and like know AI, master AI to get a job. And so I think there's going to be like this massive divide, and you and me as young people, it's like going to affect us more than anyone because we're not 30 years into our jobs. That I think the people that can be like, okay, these algorithms are great, I'm going to use those to find my target audience and sell products to, or I'm going to use them to be better in my job. But the people who just are still consumers instead of the creators with AI, and have that consume mindset, and like you said, like just consume all day and like get tricked, that's not actually real social time. I think that's like definitely a path that like some people will still go down. And so I think being conscious, like, am I just consuming all day or am I actually creating, is a huge question that every young person needs to be asking today. Is like, how am I using my time, like consumer or creator? Because if you're going to consume, you're going to just fall behind in everything. But if you're going to create, it's like pretty easy to like stay on the cusp of everything and like continue to rise ahead. So I don't know. Would love to hear your thoughts on that too.
Yeah, I think you just need like mental strength to be able to pull yourself back from it. Like me personally, the only thing I've got social media wise is LinkedIn. I don't have Instagram, TikTok, none of that because I'm like, that was never good for my brain. I deleted that when I was 19 years old. I'm 25 now because I was like, this isn't making me happy. And I realized that at a young age. But I don't know. I see other people my age, 25, and like I'll go out with some friends, or not so much anymore because I've been very kind of careful with my time and who I spend time with. But in the past, we go out with people and they'll be sat on their phone like every 10 minutes, open their phone, have a scroll through. It's like, we're out for dinner right now. You realize we're having a social interaction. So I don't know. Maybe it's just going to be like, right, everyone fend for themselves, or there's going to have to be some sort of like institutional, like the education system, the government's going to have to get involved and be like, we actually need to make a change here. We saw that in Australia. I'm not sure if you've seen that. So Australia banned social media for people under 16 or 18, I think. Like, which I think is probably a smart decision. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how old are you?
I would just turn 24.
All right, so around a similar age, like we were quite lucky that we grew up at a time where social media was just becoming a thing. I remember like people starting to use like Snapchat and Instagram at like 14, 15. So we
Yeah.
know what life was like pre that technology. Now we're going to have generations that don't know
Yeah.
what life is like without that technology, which is terrifying. So the
Yeah.
government's
Yeah.
probably
No,
going to have to get
I think
involved in
this
some
year
way.
will be I wouldn't be surprised if we see like phone diets coming out and like things like that um it's cool to be like without the phone. Like I think that's cool to be without the phone. I am the same way. I don't spend any time on any other social media platforms. I focus on LinkedIn and stuff. I think it creates like the most like rich life as possible. And so I think this year we'll see like this expedition of using more and more technology in more meaningful ways. And it might be cool to have products and technology that help us to not use AI and technology in less meaningful ways. And so, like the way that we saw like a lot of trends this past year of like walking clubs and pickleball and all these things, I wouldn't be surprised if 2025 we see phone diets and like for example, I send, this is really funny, but I send my phone time report to my sister every single day. If it's over 2 hours ever, I still work my phone, so I still need it. But if it's over 2 hours, I have to send her money. And it's like something that I'm like, want to like hold myself to, because I'm like, I don't want to spend my entire life on my phone. And so I can see like this type of like trend, or like even technology that like makes this trend like helpful and actually like, make it happen, is something that could also probably spread out. I think that's a good idea if you're a startup, like any sort of technology that makes usage of tech, any sort of technology that makes usage of this tech like more meaningful and like promoting the human experience. And I think we can even see that play into like the marketing trends, like the same idea is like instead of just like virtual posts from B2B thought leaders, like bringing people together and having that like serendipity of like those things that happen when you get like top AI creators and stuff like at like Dreamforce or something. I think that stuff is going to be like really, really popular this year when it comes to even just like marketing trends in general, just like that in-person serendipity. It will be really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see also what happens too with if like TikTok. This is probably come after TikTok. This podcast is coming out, so we'll already know. But there will be a lot of things that happen this year, just more macro when it comes to like how we are as humans and the way we interact with tech, because it's just moving so fast and getting so much better on every single front. And so it takes a lot of like self-determined and self-patience to like not use the technology to like a crazy extent. But I think there will be some products that come out that make it cooler to not use the tech as much. So
Yeah. Something you mentioned in there, which I think is interesting, and just to wrap this part up, is that you said the word use, right? I'm using the technology, you're using the technology, and I think the people that have 8 hours of screen time per day are being used by it. It goes back to that kind of documentary on the social dilemma where it talks about this, like if that product is free, then you are the product itself. All of the top tech CEOs, everyone that I speak to that's in a high up position, minimizes their screen time and doesn't go on it. Like all of these kind of top creators that you'll see on platforms, they're all creating on the platforms, but they're not being used by it. They're using it as a tool themselves. And that's the way to think about it. It's like, how can I use this to my advantage rather than being used by it, and being really safe and careful with your time as well. I could speak about hours for this because I'm really passionate about it, but I wanna bring things back. I've got 3 questions. They are actually personal questions as well that I'd like to finish off with. Firstly, how do you find it being a woman in the AI and tech space? I don't have any perspective because I've never been a man, I've never been a woman. But is that any different? Like, have you got anything to compare that to? What's that like?
yeah, I don't ever really like I don't know. I've like never really like thought about it honestly that much because post college I like went on to like build my own agency, and I've never been like in a workplace where I have like the inter workplace culture where you could maybe see
Got
some
you.
discrepancies here and there. So I honestly don't really have any like negative or positive feelings for it. I think there's never been a better time to be a person anywhere in the world. Like I think the bigger take on this is that it doesn't matter who you are, your gender, your location, your background. Like you can find an amazing company and build it yourself or like work for someone else. And so I think the opportunities today, it's just incredible. Like the world has never been like smaller. Like a lot of my team members are in across Asia, and I'm pinging people 24 hours a day on WhatsApp from all over the world. Like all my friends on LinkedIn are all over the world. And so I think whether you're a woman or whether you're anything, I think it's just like such a cool time to be alive and such a cool time to build anything. And even if you have, even if English isn't your first language, now having these outputs of AI to be so good that like immediately makes your language, your terminology like sound more flow and make more sense. Like you could literally like create your own output generator where every time you want to send a message, you just go and like grab a podcast of like very casual American talk and say, and train your GPT generator of like, this is the tone that I want, like casual, not like awkward, like super formal American talk. And, like you send in your email, use the generator, and you have it output like casual conversation type talk via email. Like you can do that. And so I think this is like the absolute time to be alive, no matter who you are, where you're at in the world. It's like there's so much opportunity.
I'm not sure if you'll remember this, but if you do, I'd love if you could expand on it for me. I make life dynamic. What does that mean?
Make life dynamic. I have like I like travel probably like half the month every month. Like I'm everywhere. I like to learn so fast. I like to fail fast. I like to build things. I like to try new things. I like to like meet new people. And so I think like the best way to live life is just like a life that's like new things all the time with the people you just like absolutely love the most. And I think that's always been like a North Star for me is like, how can I have my best friends and my sister next to me? And how can we go like travel here, travel there, do new things, like share new ideas, learn new things, build new things, fail fast. Like that it to me is like living life like dynamically, and that's like how I like want to live forever. Like that's how like I'm the most happiest when I'm like learning and like working super hard, like experiencing new things. And so if I am living life like that, then life is successful for me.
I love it. I'm a massive proponent of that myself. I've been traveling for 3 years now as well, so I get it. Like, it's the entire reason I do this is for the experiences, new cultures, new people, new languages, new foods, new activities, putting yourself in uncomfortable scenarios, like learning new things. Massive proponent for it. I've asked this last question to a few people. You might have just answered it, but I'm curious if your answer kind of varies here. And take this as you see fit. I'm not going to provide any further explanation, so just take it as you see it. Why do you do what you do?
I think like you said, I think it's similar. I think that life is criminally short. And so I think we have such a short amount of time to do it all, see it all, love deeply, learn, fail, build, grow. And so I'm like, go all in. Like I wake up every single day at 4:30 a.m. Unfortunately, the time I live in Seattle, so like the time of the rest of the world is that's when they're up. So I wake up every day at 4:30 a.m. But I like travel 2 weeks out of the month, and I like spend a lot of time with my loved ones. And so I do what I do in order to live like the biggest, most amazing, um, depthful life as possible, and like learn so much, meet so many cool people, build huge things. And so I do what I do because I like a challenge, and I like to build things, and I like to move fast. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. And if people want to hear more from you, get in touch, learn more about what you do, or get a month worth of video in 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month, how do they go about doing that?
Perfect. Yeah. Everyone can find me on LinkedIn, Lindsay Rosenthal. I'm there. I post content every single day, so you can't miss me. So
All right, perfect. I appreciate you, Lindsay. Thank you so much for your time.
thanks so much for having me on, Liam. Appreciate it.